It's time for Common Man. Common Man, Common Man. Charge the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot?
Where'd we play?
Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in. It's time for Common Man.
Welcome back to the spotlight, young man.
Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello?
Time is running out on Dan Cole's round. Let's go to 15. Bob?
Yeah, John Cole has been visibly angry. He's been talking to himself quite a bit. And it doesn't get any easier here on the par 3 15th hole at Minnesota National. This hole is guarded by two bunkers with a big tree in front of the green. Very challenging tee shot. He's opted to hit a 5-iron here. Cole, unreal pants, fluttering in the wind, mumbling to himself, I've got to have this shot. Hooty-hoo! Ooh, that's very well struck. Spinning through the air like a J.J. McCarthy pass. It's right on line. Looking good. Oh, my! It's in! I can't believe what I just saw. A hole-in-one for Cole at the 15th, and he's pointing at patrons in the gallery shouting, you doubted me, you doubted me, you doubted me, and now he's embracing his son, Peter. What a moment between father and son here at the 15th at Minnesota National.
Who's that can be tempted? We that can be tempted. Just that one. You always love that one.
You know, sometimes when you practice, you'll set up chairs. You know, and you run through chairs just to show zones and stuff. The Viking defense looks like it's chairs.
Purple Brad.
We don't go there. Next question.
Rosa, you don't know nothing.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the north. This is the common man, Dan Cole.
You leave for a couple of days, and if you don't have a roster, you don't even know who's on the team anymore. Little ack-ack-a-dack and dack-dack-ack to you and yours. Ack-ack-a-dack, dack-dack-ack is your password for tomfoolery and skullduggery. We'll also gain you admittance into a meeting of the Loyal Order of Water Buffalo. Ooh la la, ooh la la. I'm the common man, Dan Cole, radio dinosaur. This is my La Brea tar pit. Someday, archaeologists and paleontologists will be sifting through the rubble that is 1600 Utica Avenue South, and they will stumble across my skeletal remains with my cold, dead, rigor mortis-laden lips attached to this.
You've got to be kidding me.
Go ahead, hit the, thank you. Something's never changed, Teneby. It doesn't matter how often I... The Electro Voice, RE27, and they'll say EGAD, a social commentator with an archaic communication device. Good to be back. How was the Lieutenant Fitzgerald over the past couple of days? I bet it was
we
busy.
survived. Yeah, it helps that there's a lot of newsworthy items.
Do you like parades?
It's been a while, but yeah.
Yeah. I was out of pocket all week. And first of all, I played, we're not going to spin the wheel of topic yet. Played Shadowbrook on Sunday out in Lester Prairie. It's like I'd never played before, Tenby. I was consistent, though. I went 49-49.
No!
Then,
did you lose to Peter?
Yes, I did. Lost him by a shot. It was right down to the very end. So baby brother Peter bested his father. But then we went out to the refuge on Monday. I mean, the weather was absolutely perfect. That's a Kevin Norby designed golf course. Kevin Norby, we've done work. We've had him on Tee to Green before. Kevin Norby has also had a hand in the redesign over at the club at Golden Valley, Meat Sauce's place, right? But it was like in mid-season shape, except it wasn't green, right? Only 2 temporaries. I think and I shot 38 on the front. The club was my brush, the ball was my paint, and the course was my canvas. So yeah, it was like everything was good, and I kept seeing on Monday all the stories kept coming in. Vikings had done this, Vikings had done that.
Mostly Tuesday.
Well, I'm sorry,
early Tuesday morning. Yeah,
early Tuesday morning. You're right. Monday was no good. Tuesday was when we were out. We were over at Golf Zone yesterday. This is the best thing that ever happened to Baby Brother Peter. We're over at Golf Zone hitting ball. Baby Brother Peter has no game, right? We're at Golf Zone over in. Have you ever been to Golf Zone?
No.
It's over in Chanhassen, Chaska, over there, where it's got the full. They're garage stalls, and you hit your ball full flight out into a driving range, right? And then it's not the TrackMan, but it's another one of those gizmos that tells you your ball speed, how far the ball went, this, that, everything like that. Dan Callahan, the longtime golf professional over at Island View in Waconia, I've known him for years. He's retired, but he still gives lessons. He was there. He spent 20 to 30 minutes with Baby Brother Peter completely fixing a swing. Suddenly, Baby Brother Peter looks like Colin Morikawa hitting a golf ball, for crying out loud. So it was a really good day for Pete. And we thank Dan for being there, because he just and then he tried to work with me, and I could tell by the look on his face that he was thinking all hope was lost for Common. But that's all right too. He's
a golf whisperer to a certain extent.
That is correct. But
right.
he
can work with Sam Darnold. He can't work with Nick Mullins.
Correct. So I've had the wine, the women, and the song. So I don't need. But you're right. He can, but he can't work. Though. So anyway, we ended up getting a new center. Right, Ryan Kelly, is that his name?
Yep.
Ryan Kelly's the new center. Well, the guard we got, Fries from the Colts, and apparently he's very good. We have 2 tackles.
Yes.
Inside tackles. Is it Taylor?
Jonathan Allen.
Jonathan Allen, not Taylor. Jonathan Allen. He's from the Commanders.
Yep.
And did we sign, is it Hargrave?
I think that is not official yet, because he has to be released today.
Okay. So
it sounds like it's going to happen.
Because when they're released, then we don't have to do that compensatory pick, right? Is that how that works? If a guy's just a free agent, it's if he's still with the club and you sign him as a free agent. You have to do the compensatory. So we're waiting for him to be released, because apparently he is. And then we got some other odds and ends too, right? We got a cornerback from somewhere, I believe.
Oh, we re-signed our own.
Right.
Byron Murphy Jr. And then, Isaiah Rodgers.
Yes, Isaiah Rodgers. And Sam left.
Sam's gone.
Sam, he went to...
Cambese's gone.
He went to Seattle. Where did Cambese go?
He went to Indianapolis.
He's with the Colts. And any other movement since then? And I know we re-signed our punter. We re-signed Jones, our running back, right? So we re-signed some of our own.
Yep.
I must admit, Tenneby, I'm rather impressed. After Monday, it did look like, if you read those report cards, it was Vikings D, Vikings F, Vikings D, Vikings F, because they really did nothing. And then, they addressed the needs. I think most observers felt like, and the coach made no bones about it, right? When this, at the end of the season, when he said, we've got to do something about the interior of the offensive line. They just got steamrolled, particularly against the Rams in the first round of the playoffs. 9 sacks. I think that tied a playoff record of some sort. Sam was under siege the entire game. And does he hang on to the ball sometimes a little long? Yeah, I guess. He's trying to make something happen. And of course, the coach likes throwing downfield. Make no bones about that. I think our offense threw the ball downfield. We averaged the most yards in the air, right? Downfield passes than anybody. So that takes a little bit longer for plays to develop. And then the interior pass rushes, I'm pretty excited about as well. It's like we've had nothing for years there. The numbers were stark when they talked about amount of pressures by our inside guys and the amount of sacks. And then the 2 guys we're bringing in, each of them alone.
Both 2-time Pro Bowlers.
2-time Pro Bowlers were posting numbers better than our combo in there. Now, the one caveat is, I think they've all been injured. except
Injured and up there in age a little bit.
Exactly. Now, the injuries, though, broken tibia, that's not like you got your knee torn up 3 different times and there's not much left there, right? I mean, it seemed like these injuries were the type where they weren't. If you can avoid the knee injuries, I think, pectoral, that usually heals, right? You're okay. I mean, you're out for the season usually when you get a pec injury, because one of them had the pec.
Yeah.
But once you heal up, you're usually in pretty good shape. But, I'm pretty happy as a Viking fan.
I'm happy that you're happy.
I want to get your thoughts. I'm sure you talked about it quite a bit yesterday, and Rosen will join us again. We'll see what I'd like to see pick his brain. My guess is he loves everything that happened. He'll probably say, remember when he said he doesn't think the Wolves have to fear anybody? He's probably thinking the same thing about the Vikings, that they have nobody to fear, and maybe they don't. Should be exciting. So let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk more about what happened yesterday in free agency, other moves that happened today, plus plenty more to get to here on the Common Man program on a fan.
You app.
The NCHC Frozen Face-Off is bringing the best of college hockey to XL Energy Center for one final time. Tickets are still available for all sessions on March 21st and 22nd. Don't miss out on the chance to see a champion crowned in St. Paul one last time. For full event details and to get your tickets today, head over to KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Peek at the Purple brought to you by Affordable Electric. Tennessee, I don't know. You're not thrilled with your career choice, right?
Thrilled would not be a word I would use there.
As a matter of fact, my guess is would you like a job paying, $40 to $46 an hour with benefits?
That sounds nice.
A simple plan with a 3% match?
Sure.
Would you like that? Company truck? Well,
yeah.
That's what Affordable Electric, your old home specialist, is offering for a journeyman electrician. They're looking for one. The position's full-time, pays $40 to $46 an hour. They provide health insurance, a simple plan with a 3% match from Affordable, a work truck bonuses, and the ability to earn commissions. Affordable-electric.com. Apply today. Affordable-electric.com. Affordable Electric is what, Tennessee?
Shockingly affordable.
So there you go. We kind of did take a peek at the Purple. Our good friend Mark Craig, Fish Wrap Factory West Side, he writes NFL and Vikings for the Fish Wrap. He's all in on the quarterback whisperer. Now, did you see his piece today? Did you read that? I didn't know he was like me. He claims, I don't know if it's tongue-in-cheek because he keeps referring to him as quarterback whisperer, almost as if he's being sarcastic. So I really couldn't get a feel for it because I don't know Mark very well. But he said he was a guy that rolled his eyes, shrugged his shoulders, and shook his head when people were calling Darnold or KOC the quarterback whisperer. He seems to be, unless he was just pulling my leg, he's all in on that. I think most people are. And it looks like he needs to be now for sure, because with Darnold gone, with Danny Dimes, I was kind of surprised by the Danny Dimes thing. I guess the money was more alluring, right? Because the feeling was, or at least the feeling I got, was that Danny Dimes wanted to be here because he said, look what he did with Sam Darnold. Maybe he can do the same for me. Because Danny Dimes was sort of following the same route in his football career as, not exactly the same, but it was very similar what Darnold went through, and it was trending in that direction again, right? Play for a team, have some moments, doesn't go. But now he actually was able to get a big contract from the Giants because of that, the one season where they beat us in the playoffs. But he hasn't been very good since then. He's been struggling, and so I thought he was here because he wanted to get the Midas touch from KOC, but the money was at $14 million he got?
$14 million. I'm guessing the Vikings did not get too close to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't think they did. And that's because I
mean, last year they did 1 year, $10 million for Darnold with the understanding that he was coming in to compete.
Correct.
And I'm guessing if Daniel Dimes is here, it's not necessarily to compete.
Correct.
With JJ, it's to give you some insurance.
Yeah,
some quarterback insurance.
Yeah, I think because if you indeed are convinced that McCarthy is the franchise quarterback, You got him on the 5-year rookie deal. 1 year's gone already where he didn't play at all. So, I would think you want to get him up and running in year 2 because there's more than likely going to be a learning curve. Not necessarily. The kid for Washington, what's his name again? Daniels?
Yep.
That kid looked like a 10-year veteran out there most of the season, right? And maybe JJ.
He's going to be an MVP favorite this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe JJ McCarthy will be that same kind of. He'll have that same type of inaugural season. His first season actually playing, but it could end up being maybe, we don't know. It might be more like Mac Jones, where there's a little bit of a learning curve there. But it looks like we're all bought in there. Are there still rumors? Rodgers is still out there, right? Is there
He's still
rumors?
available? And it's kind of weird how it's gone radio silent with him, right? Like over the weekend, when the news broke that Seattle traded Geno Smith to Vegas, and all of a sudden all these national guys immediately knew that Sam Darnold was all of a sudden the number 1 guy for Seattle. Then you started seeing some Rodgers to Vikings. They would mention the Vikings as a potential name.
Yep.
And then, basically the entire content of the show yesterday, the 10 of Fitzgerald, there was a Michael Silver tweet.
Okay.
And I need to paraphrase now because I don't have the quote in front or the tweet in front of me. But he said basically like, when it comes to quarterback decisions in Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell is the guy making basically that decision.
Right.
And that there's some interesting interesting conversation going on. Which to me, I thought, well, there can't be an interesting conversation with any other quarterback that's available other than Aaron Rodgers, right? Like it's not, there's an interesting conversation going on with Marcus Mariota.
Right. Or
the only other name would be Kirk Cousins as an interesting conversation. But we've in the last 24 hours, there's been nothing on Aaron Rodgers. It's actually kind of eerie how quiet it's been.
do you feel as though Rodgers is it? I mean, that's crazy, right? Or do you think it's possible he could? I mean,
I'm starting to think it's possible. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
But to me, it's the old where there's smoke, there's fire. There's been kind of multiple people now that have said his name attached to the Vikings. Like, you don't just pull that out of nowhere, do you?
it'd be interesting. It'd be fun, right? I don't know how. I've made no bones about. I'm not a big Rodgers guy. I don't detest him. I don't hate him as a human being. I just think he's. I don't know what he's got left at 41. I do feel like he's more he's more self-centered than a quarterback should be. I think he's more concerned about Aaron than he is the team itself.
The only thing bigger than his ego is your prostate.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so I don't know. And I wonder what I would think if you're in the locker room when it was announced that Aaron Rodgers was signing with the Vikings on a 1-year deal, you might be pretty excited. I don't know. Would you be? Offensively, if you're JJ and Addison and the pass catching guys, are you excited about him? I don't know. It doesn't
depends what Aaron Rodgers are getting.
Well, that's
are you getting the 2024 New York Jets version? Or are you getting somewhere close to, we probably had the exact same conversation with Brett Favre, right? Who did the exact same career trajectory where Rodgers booted him out. They drafted a new guy in Aaron Rodgers. He went to New York Jets, did not do well in New York. I know he had the biceps injury. Yeah. It's the same thing. I think he had like 2 mediocre to bad years there. And you're thinking, well, the guy's 40 years old. What does he have left? And he had one pretty darn good season left in him.
Yeah.
And Rodgers is in the same boat. He 2 years removed from the Achilles injury, and maybe that affected his play last year. Not as mobile, not as much strength to be able to throw the ball downfield. Maybe he regains that, but he's also 40, is he not?
41, I think, even. And
so can you still recover?
Can build
this thing together, standing strong forever.
I don't know. What would you have to pay him?
Well, they reportedly offered Darnold 1 year, $25 million.
Is that what they said?
My guess is, with Rodgers, you ain't going more than 2 years.
No.
That's a 1 or 2 year contract. Because of his ego, you got to give him a decent amount.
Yeah.
He ain't going to come here for 1 year, $9 million.
Yeah. Probably $25 million, right? I mean, he has to realize too. I mean, I don't see if he was in demand, I think he would have signed by now, would he not? I mean, if there were people clamoring to have Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback for a big paycheck, I think maybe he would have been signed.
Well, he might know that he's the next domino to fall, and that the other quarterback dominoes don't fall until he falls.
Okay.
So, in true Aaron Rodgers fashion, he might just be stringing this along as long as he can.
Yeah. Here's a text message that came in. It says, Common, you have to teach PA not to get so emotional on such issues. The man threw a borderline tantrum not wanting Rodgers today.
Really?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't throw a tantrum. I mean, if you asked me, I would rather just go with the McCarthy guy. There's a lot of baggage and a lot of distraction that comes with Rodgers. That being said, I mean, there was a time where he was as good as it gets, right? He was. I mean, he won the MVP 4 different times.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
I will go back and say that I don't know what his record in postseason is since the big game victory way back. I mean, it's 15 years removed from a big game. I think he won it. He's lost at least 1 or 2 NFC championship games. So he's won some divisional and wild card or divisional rounds for sure. I don't know how many wild cards they were in. I just there was a couple of those performances in postseason that were just dreadful, I thought. So I don't know if I would trust him or not. Let's take a break and come back. That's a Peek at the Purple brought to you by Affordable Electric. Affordable-electric.com. They are shockingly affordable. Some more controversial Vikings news. Other side of the break. Common Man program on the Fan. Harry Chapin.
We've got your shot to win tickets to Summer of Loud 2025. Friday, July 11th at Somerset Amphitheater. See performances from Beartooth, I Prevail, Parkway Drive, and more. Head over to our contest page to see how you can win today. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest.
That sounds like a heck of a concert. I might want to go with some friends. We still have that big ticket soundbite somewhere, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not even sure what that one was about. It was about
sounds like a heck of a concert, actually. I might want to go to that. That sounds like a heck of a concert. I might want to show up with some friends. That sounds like a heck of a radio show. I might want to listen.
Could you put the concert one on where Halloween music is on Common Man page 2?
The concert with friends?
Yeah, because then every time we do a concert thing, I can play it. I think it's so good. It's one of my favorite big ticket moments. I don't even know if that was,
I don't even know the origin of it.
I don't either. And I don't even, that almost sounds like he did that one, that wasn't from the show itself, like he did it on the side because we thought it was really funny. I don't remember. I got a text message, Tenneby. I got a handful with this similar feel for them, bent opinion. It says, This station talks way too much Aaron Rodgers signing with the Vikings. It'll never happen. Next subject, please. Well, leave the radio to the professionals, I would say. And I get it. I mean, everybody, I talked to somebody today, a friend of mine who was listening to the Tenna Fitzgerald and thought you did a marvelous job, except there was too much Vikings talk. There was so much else going on out there. There was Wild, and there's, the high school hockey tournaments and high school basketball. And I'm like, I had to time out and go, no. This city revolves sports-wise around the Vikings. It's just a fact, whether you believe it or not. It's kind
of a big day or two for the National Football League.
Yeah, and it is a big day for National Football League. It's 2 days, and the Vikings, it wasn't like the Vikings were sitting on their hands and just like, they didn't make any moves, which would have been worth conversation, but it probably would have come and gone. They signed 4 from outside, they re-signed some guys, but the 4 they signed outside of the organization are all big-time players or were big-time at one time. I think they were all injured with the exception either the center or Fries, and I think it was the center wasn't hurt.
Fries was hurt, yeah.
Yeah, but the other 3 guys
had season-ending injuries last year. So, I mean, that does, that's some cause for concern. But what player in the NFL hasn't had a season-ending injury before? Most of them have. I wouldn't, for instance, now he's much younger, but Aiden Hutchinson missed, he got injured in week 5, I think. So that means he missed how many games?
If he got injured in week 5, then 12 after that?
Yeah, he missed 12
then
games.
Playoff games?
I wouldn't go, I don't want him. He's injury prone. No, I mean, you
Our starting quarterback may be one of those guys that was out all year.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a very good point. So, that was a big day yesterday. And talking about Rodgers is one of the biggest names in football. Somebody else sent a text and says that Rodgers does kind of go at his own speed,
yes.
Right? Others think, here's one that I thought was interesting. 2 of them. First of all, this one says, this team has a 13-win and 14-win season in 3 years with O'Connell by playing as a team. If you bring in Rodgers, all that's out the window because it becomes all about him. It's always been all about him. He's an old dog that refuses to learn new tricks. On top of that, I do think he is washed up from that perspective, from the perspective as well. He just thinks he's washed up. That could very well be. Whether Rodgers is at a point in his career where I know when he does that smarmy thing where he's the smartest guy in the room and he always just kind of rolls his eyes and has that grin when he's on with like McAfee or whatever, right? And he's got all the answers and he's got his head wrapped around everything and he gets it and he could very well still feel that way. Maybe he does. I also think there's a possibility that he has to realize, I would think he has to realize at this point, there ain't many more seasons left for him if there's any at all, right? I guess it's possible he doesn't sign anywhere unless it's as a backup, and I don't think he's wanting to do that. Does he want to sit on the bench? I think that'd be I don't think
there's still plenty of starting jobs open.
But is there anybody? There might be plenty of starting jobs open. That doesn't mean he's going to get signed by any of those teams. You know what I'm saying? Especially if he has to get 25.
I think if you looked at the current options, other options available, I think it's a very good, right? Because Giants need a starting quarterback. Pittsburgh needs a starting quarterback. Titans might need a starting quarterback. After Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, I mean, you're talking, I guess Jacoby Brissett just signed yesterday as a backup for Arizona. I mean, Gardner Minshew maybe? I mean, there's not much out there.
There might not be much out there, but are you willing to give, he's probably going to want $25, $30 million for a 1-year thing, unless you think like you're 1 year away. I don't know why you would have any interest in him. I just, as a matter of fact, it makes more sense for somebody like the Vikings to want him, thinking, because here's another text that came in that says, what if the kid isn't ready? The way they were spending money, the team is going to be too good to risk that. Kevin and Kwesi are always going to say the correct thing to the media. That's why all we hear about JJ is the good news. We'll see. I don't think, he's going to be ready. He's ready to go. We think he's our franchise quarterback. We don't know that. I don't think now, obviously nobody can predict that. I mean, you can watch him play and say, I think he's the goods. I think he has the it factor, but we don't know that. Maybe he won't be any good. They
might not know if he's ready because he hasn't been on the field.
That's true. And that would be, I mean, obviously with the money they've spent on the inside of the offensive line to provide protection for they saw what happened against Detroit, particularly against the Rams. They were just steamrolled. And that wasn't just dumb luck by the Rams or the Lions. When you have a quality defensive line in front of that Vikings interior, they were just struggling. They just were. And I don't think anybody harbors any ill will toward the three. Bradbury's going to be gone, right? Who's the guy that's getting replaced at guard? What's his name?
It was Ed Ingram, and then Reisner took over.
Right.
But your right guard spot.
Ingram's probably going to be gone, right?
Yes. Certainly.
Bradbury's going to be gone, right? I don't know if Reisner serves as a backup or whatever, but I harbor no ill will toward Bradbury or Ed Ingram. Probably great guys. Too bad they lost their job. It's unfortunate. But they just weren't providing the protection. Should help the running game as well. And then defensively, I mean, that's part of it. I don't know if in someone that maybe has followed B-Flow's career more closely than I have, I don't think he's just this blitz-happy coordinator that's what he always wants to do. I think part of it is if you don't have we talk about it. it wasn't Donatel. It was probably the personnel. Same thing with you look at the team you have, when you bring guys in, you go, well, we can't get any push up the middle, so I'm going to have to blitz more than I would like to do. I don't know if they'll still blitz at this. If they end up signing, is it Hargrave?
Yep.
If he ends up signing, we think he will once he's released. And then we got the
Jonathan
Allen. If both those guys come back healthy, wealthy, and wise, and they're both perform as they're capable of, I would think you might not have to blitz as much because you're going to get plenty of pressure from your front four. If you get pressure from your front four,
that's what the Rams did in the playoffs. That's what the Eagles did against the Chiefs.
Exactly.
They didn't blitz a lick.
No, you don't need to. So, and then when you still have the option to blitz, though, occasionally too, it makes things. I mean, I'm starting to feel like the Vikings are big game material, and I don't say that very often.
Oh my gosh.
We'll have to wait and see. I saw, I was reminded, Tenby, of Power Trip bets when I saw sitting on the countertop in here. The Power Trip morning show cast of characters were betting on the players. The players today.
The players
today. Do you know who got who? I
could find it.
Can you find it?
I listened to the last 4 picks, but I didn't listen to the entire draft.
This list of players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, I got it.
12. There are 12 players that actually had odds attached to it. Plus 400 for Scheffler, plus 1,000 for McIlroy, and on down to plus 400. Then they had a bunch of other names on here that did not have any odds with them. So I'm assuming this was just somebody's personal copy.
Usually someone prints that out for everybody.
Okay, prints that out for everybody.
Yeah.
And they just throw in other names, even though those names don't have any odds attached to them. Just to give
that's
people
kind of
an
rare
idea.
for them to have to go off the board.
Right.
Scotty Scheffler was the ghost.
Okay.
So nobody gets to claim him. Marnie had the first pick. She took Colin Morikawa.
Oh, she did. Who was a runner-up last week and has been playing very, very well as of late.
John Bonus took Xander Schauffele.
Okay.
Lawyer Lambert took Rory McIlroy.
A Schauffele coming off an injury, right? Didn't he have an injury late last year? He hasn't played much this year, I don't think.
Your guy Muss took Ludwig Oberg. Chris Hockey took Hideki Matsuyama.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Gorg took Wyndham Clark. Meat Sauce took Justin Thomas. Kriesel took Sepp Straka. Zacco took Keegan Bradley.
Oh.
Carly Zucker took Tommy Fleetwood. Alexis Pearson took Patrick Cantlay. Corey Cove took Corey Connors. And Tommy Olson took Shane Lowry.
Okay. So there you go. Did you hear about Morikawa and not meeting with the media after, is it the Cognizant? Is that the tournament they just played that Russ Henley won? Nobody took Russ Henley, huh?
No.
Coming off a victory.
Do you think they know who Russ Henley is?
I guess not. I mean, if you're paying attention, he won last week. That doesn't mean he'll win again. It's hard to repeat. It's hard to win back-to-back on tour, but I'm surprised he wasn't taken.
With a hot hand?
Yeah, with a hot hand. But he would not talk to the media after the event. Then he did have a quote later that said something. I wish I could get the exact quote, Tenby, but it was something to the effect of, hey, no offense to any of you guys, meaning the media, but I don't owe you anything. I just didn't feel like talking.
Wow.
And, I get it. I mean, when you have regardless of the sport, whether it's individual or team related, and you have a pretty devastating loss. I mean, he had a one-shot lead going into the final round. Henley birdied 14. Henley more won it, I think, than Morikawa gave it. Now, Morikawa didn't play, but I think he shot an even par 72. So when you're the leader, I think you should shoot somewhere in the 60s, right? But Henley went out and grabbed it. He made a birdie on 14. And then he eagled 16. I think he ends up winning the tournament. So while you don't owe the media, I still think, and I mean, he probably won't make a habit of this, but I think you sort of kind of owe it to the fans, because without the fans, there is no league, and you're probably not playing professional golf. You're probably, I don't know what you're doing. Maybe he's probably a relatively bright guy. Maybe he gets a job as a nuclear physicist. But he ain't playing pro golf, and fans like to hear what guys have to say, especially the best players in the world, guys with good personalities. And if they've just invested, let's say they've watched both Saturday and Sunday, start to finish. They've invested a couple of days watching you and watching you get away from. They want to hear, man, I wonder what he has to say about that. And you say, I don't know. You don't address the media. I think you're
part of sports and part of life.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do.
I agree.
I bet there's been many times in your life when you've played like a team sport or an individual sport and you lose. You still go up and you shake the person's hand, or you shake the other. I don't necessarily want to shake the other team's hand. I'm really bitter about the loss.
Correct.
But you go do it.
Well, and then, you look at through the years. How about, do you remember how many times Norman, you go back to 96, the collapse when he had a 6-stroke lead in the final round of the Masters, and he played just awful. He shot a 78. Nick likes to remind you, I know he played poorly, but I did shoot a 69 that day, by the way, and Nick did, and Nick ended up winning the jacket. Guess what? Norman went to the press table. You think he wanted to go there and have him go,
no.
Greg's looks like you choked again. Here's another tournament, and you had a 6-shot lead. Greg, what happened? The last thing Norman wanted to do was face the media, but he did. Big boy. I'm a wealthy man because the fans like watching me play golf, and they want to hear what I have to say, and so he went and met the media, and Morikawa decided not to.
Says a lot about your character.
Yeah, and I understand, and I like Morikawa as a player. He's fun to watch, great kid, but I think you got to face the media, and that's just me. Your Wild Club had a nice win, right? Or does it even matter anymore?
Well, they needed to stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
They had lost 5 of 7, and all of a sudden they slipped into a wild card spot because Colorado has leapfrogged them. And, the game they played against Vancouver Friday night, which is currently Vancouver is the 9th place team. So that's the last team out of a playoff spot. Had a chance to kind of bury them in the standings. Outshot them, outchanced them, just ran into a hot goalie that day. So all of a sudden that league gets down to 7. And, when you're 9-11 points out, like that's pretty hard to blow that at this stage of the season. You start getting to 7, 6, 5, then it's nail biting season all of a sudden. So just they are going to have to scratch and claw like the rest of the way until they get some of these guys back, which we don't have any time frame now of when they're ever going to get these guys back. They are just offensively struggling mightily, and I expect them to continue struggling mightily offensively because they just don't have a lot of offense at this stage. So they got to win like they did last night, where they got to play a well defensively structured game. Gus was really, really good last night. Good goaltending. And they played with a little bit of desperation last night in terms of work ethic and getting in the forecheck and just kind of making desperate defensive plays and back checking. So good for them to get the 2 points. I still don't know how sustainable it's going to be moving forward here until those other guys are back, if they get back.
And it's still a mystery, right? Everybody's tight-lipped. There's been no word on if and when Kaprizov's coming back, or Eck or Brodin. We don't know.
Russo had said, Kaprizov hasn't skated yet, so that's never a good sign.
Right.
And made it seem like the possibility of him skating won't even be till later this month. So I think we're still going to have a couple weeks here of him not skating. So at this stage, the best case scenario is end of March, he's on the ice and hopefully can play a few regular season games and try to get into playoff shape before the playoffs begin, assuming they make it.
Did we make another trade by the trade deadline, or was it just the one?
We made the Nyquist was a little before the trade deadline. Then they sent Husnadinov and Lacko to Boston for Justin Brezzo.
What did it seemed like the Bears were really active in free agent too.
Yes.
They rebuilt their offensive line, right?
They did what the Vikings did. They had trenches on both sides.
Yeah, on both sides of the football.
I think they have 3 offensive linemen they got.
It's going to be a hell of a division, I would think. Now, Detroit, they lost Carlton Davis III, but then they got the guy from the DJ Reed.
DJ Reed.
And you know what? If you read about DJ Reed, pun intended, there are some that think he's one of the better, he's a top 10 cornerback in the league. I don't know, does he benefit from Sauce Gardner over there, or do you think because Sauce Gardner was on the other side, they pick on DJ Reed more, and those numbers then are impressive? Because Reed played really well.
That means you're going against a lot of teams' second best wide receiver, so that's beneficial.
So there you go. So I don't know, but that's really...
So I think if I recall with the Jets, because when the Vikings played them last year, I think they might just stay on their one side.
Yeah.
I don't recall Sauce Gardner just following and shadowing the top wide receiver.
Because what I saw too, I thought I read this that he had 2 really good games against Jefferson, or he had a good game with the Jets against the Vikings against Jefferson, and now he would play him 2 times a year. So, that remains to be seen.
I felt like that Jets game was kind of the first little bit of cracks we saw in the offense, and Sam Darnold. That's when he kind of started that slump.
Yeah.
Where they had the bye week after that, but then, the Detroit game, he was pretty good, but then at the Rams, at Jacksonville, kind of had a little bit of a stretch there where 3 out of 4 games, they were not good offensively.
Is it, did the Packers do anything? I didn't see anything, or maybe I just missed it.
I thought they signed an offensive lineman.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't know if they've done anything.
Well, some teams are more needier than others too. I don't know what to. Like for the Lions, for instance, I'm not saying that you stand pat, but I think they needed to re-sign some of their own free agents, keep that core together. So, I guess we'll do a Rodgers watch. Somebody else sent me a text that says he thinks he read somewhere that a decision that Rodgers that chip could be played today. We could find out more. Because today was the day he actually could ink the contracts, right? It was the tampering period on Monday and Tuesday, and then today was the day you could cut the deal. So I guess we'll find out in the not too distant future. Again, if it's up to me, and it's not, I don't know if I want to. I don't know.
So the Packers signed Aaron Banks.
Okay.
4 years, $77 million deal. He was a guard for the San Francisco 49ers.
Ooh. You're playing for San Francisco, you're probably pretty good.
They also signed cornerback Nate Hobbs from the Raiders for a 4-year, $48 million deal.
All right.
And kicker Brandon McManus,
That's a big one.
Bring him back.
That's a big one. Bring him McManus back.
Re-signed Isaiah McDuffie, linebacker. So that's all that's written down at ESPN.
Okay, very good. So there we go. We have 2 giveaways today before the show is over. It is a Wild Wednesday here in the Fan, presented by Jim Beam. Family made and crafted since 1795. Don't call now. We'll give away the tickets a little bit later. They're facing the New York Rangers. That's the tickets we'll be giving. That's tomorrow night. Do they play tomorrow night? Is that correct? Play the Rangers tomorrow?
Yes.
So that's the tickets are for tomorrow's game. And then, how about this? You're going to like this. Flop, Sweat, and Tears continues.
Oh, boy.
Meet Sauce Common and Larry Mondello guy. One night only. Do you think it's one night only, tend to be just because we're really busy and we have a big tour? It's just there's
a reason they haven't added a second show.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
There's a reason they haven't added a second show. But there's one night only at Bogart's in Apple Valley. That's a week from Friday. You can buy tickets. You can buy tickets if you'd like at BogartsEntertainmentCenter.com. Or you can stick with us and we'll give you an opportunity to win those tickets a little bit later today. Let's take a break. Tennebee's got a little 5-3-4 coming up for us. What's that tease, Tennebe?
Is it over for the GOAT?